Like, what's the typical process with somebody who's just getting started? They don't even have a business.
So if someone wants to access free capital from the banks at 0% interest, they just need to follow a few steps. And those would be, number one, incorporating their LLC. Number two,
A lot of people don't know you've helped over 3,000 people get $100 million funded in credit. So I want to just talk about the updates in the market. What's going on in the credit markets today?
Oh, that's such a great question. Since I've last been here, we have helped a lot more people. It's great to be back. Thanks for having me back on.
Yeah.
So the credit market is obviously pretty interesting times right now with all the different things happening with inflation and interest rates and just politics in general. It's just a lot of stuff happening. We recently saw that Wells Fargo actually reopened a 0% card. Some banks have been tightening up because there's been all these 0% interest credit stacking businesses popping up everywhere. So,
like yours.
Like mine. Yeah. So, it's been pretty interesting because you got a lot of people offering the service now, and the banks are starting to catch on.
Right.
They're not like stopping their 0% offers either. They want to help people start their businesses. They want new business to come in. They understand it is a very enticing offer like cash back or welcome bonuses or travel points. So some banks are actually reeling back, and then others are actually promoting and pushing out their 0% offers again and rebranding their cards. So it just has been varying based on the bank that has been offering it.
Yeah. Like I remember, over 10 years ago when I was trying to go get more credit to go flip houses, I wasn't even concerned about like any of the things of like cash back or like the 0% was like definitely like the main one. If I could get 0% at 12 months or 18 months, then that's great because now I just have this capital to work with. But even if it didn't and they just gave me like a bigger line, I was okay with that too because it was like, well, I mean, this is just a cost of doing business. Like,
sure,
whatever. I just need to get access to as much as I can.
Definitely. I think that's the right attitude about it as well, because I've definitely ran into some people where it's like it has to be 0%. But I think a good point that you make is that if you're going to make more return on investment anyways, right, despite any kind of interest you pay, and ideally you're paying 0% interest, right? But if you're going to make more return on investment, then that's really what matters is, are you going to be able to make profit with the money?
Yeah. Like how hard have you seen it now to get credit these days? Like, how are they doing with like income verification with credit scores and all that stuff?
Sure. Yeah. So credit is, if you know the right strategies for each place, then getting credit is not going to be too difficult. There's going to be places where they'll ask you for income verification, but if you're going for the 0% business credit cards, hardly ever will they ask you for income documentation, no proof of income. So like a lot of these banks will actually give you the opportunity to get free capital without any proof of income because it's just such a great starter product to get the business credit cards.
You're saying business credit only though, not like personal?
Personal credit, a lot of the same deal. What I've noticed with personal credit is that these big banks and regional banks won't ask you for proof of income. But when you start going to these credit unions where they don't have as much money to play around with, they're going to start asking you for pay stubs and things like that.
Got it. So the first step, okay, actually I'll take a step back and just talk about business credit versus personal credit. Like I've just seen this over and over again, like people with business credit offers, but it's like in my own experience, very few people actually get business credit.
Yeah.
Like what's the truth?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So there's a lot of people out there that are selling this business credit stuff, and the offers vary from 0% interest business credit to net 30 cards, vendor cards, things like that. For me, it doesn't make sense for a lot of people to get these net 30 or vendor cards because, I mean, what are they going to use them on? Most people are not going to use the net 30 cards because they're so niched down that like they're practically useless. So the cards that people really need to get their hands on are the 0% business credit cards. And if you have an idea, if you're starting a business, if you're starting an investment, whatever it may be, and you're doing something independently, you just have to be very smart about what NAICS code, which is your industry code, that you're going to use to actually go ahead and get funding.
Okay. So what's the typical process with somebody who's just getting started? They don't even have a business, but they're trying to get credit for their business.
Yeah. So if someone wants to access free capital from the banks at 0% interest, they just need to follow a few steps. And those would be, number one, incorporating their LLC on, InkFile, which is now busy.com. And they can do that in 5 minutes, just skip all the upsells. Number two, they, want to make sure that their credit score is going to be good enough, because most of these business lending decisions actually for these business credit cards that are useful to people that, say, both of you and I work with, most of the people who get those business credit cards need to have good personal credit to qualify.
Right.
From there, you could go ahead and actually build out a funding plan of anywhere between 6 to 12 different banks, whether it be in your area, online, nationwide. And you put together that list of couple of banks, and all you really have to do is apply from there. It's important to know the best strategy for each place, though, because there's some banks where if you apply online, you may only get a $10,000 limit. But if you do it some different way with maybe a DocuSign application or a relationship manager, you could get up to $50,000 or more.
Yeah, explain what that is, like with a relationship manager and everything.
Yeah. So a lot of people don't know that there are these relationship managers at the banks that help you get approved for massive limits, more than what an algorithm would typically give you. So say that you have, a business that you're starting, maybe it's like a day old, and you just go and apply online. You're going to get way different results just going ahead and applying with someone who could, under the table slip that application to underwriting, put in a good word for you and do it in a way where you're not being hit by the algorithm that may say, hey, we can only give you 10,000, but after further review with an underwriter, they could expose maybe $50,000 of credit. So getting in touch with these people, I think a lot of people are nervous to reach out to relationship managers because they think that the bank is very standoffish, that they don't want you to know their secrets.
Yeah.
And, face it too, everyone's at home behind a computer, behind a phone all day. They're not on the phone communicating all day, right? So they're having a hard time actually picking up the phone and calling the bank and just asking them simple questions like, hey, what bureau do you guys check? Or what's the maximum credit limit that you'll give on this card? Very simple questions. Or is there a better way I can apply for this card to secure my chances of getting a higher limit? These are very simple questions. I think a lot of people didn't think they knew they could ask. And that's all you really have to do to start digging around and finding the best strategy.
And that's how you'd get a relationship manager. Just
That's
literally
right.
calling them.
Just really calling them. It sounds very simple, but you're going to run into a lot of bankers that are just frustrating to deal with. It happens all the time. Like there's some that are just really not cool. They're not really they're just there for a paycheck.
Yeah.
They're not really there to help small businesses grow. And it's always good to find the ones that want to help small businesses grow, that are willing to do anything and everything to make it work for you.
Yeah.
While there's others that are afraid. And if you find those that aren't giving you what you want, just hang up the phone and call a different bank.
Yeah. It's funny because inflation is crazy. Right now, $3 won't even get you a gallon of gas or a cup of coffee. But the good news is it'll get you my wholesaling blueprint and a trial to Wealthy University. You might be wondering, Ryan, what are those? Well, Wealthy University is our online community where you're going to be able to network with 6, 7, and 8-figure real estate investors and entrepreneurs. We have live calls every single week. You can come and ask me questions directly every single Tuesday. And you have access to all of our courses, all the recordings of WealthCon, and exclusive events. Along with that, you're also going to get our wholesaler's blueprint, which is going to give you all the scripts we use when we talk to sellers, all the contracts that we've used to lock up hundreds of deals, and you'll even get my contractor's guide, which gives you all of the materials we use in our house flips. And if that wasn't enough, I'm also going to give you a copy of my 2 books, The Wealthy Way and Flip Your Future. All of that will be yours for just $3 by going to wealthyuniversity.com. There is no better deal for $3, especially when inflation's on on the rise. So instead of maybe getting half a cup of coffee, go to wealthyuniversity.com and go get the wholesaler's blueprint and your trial today. I have relationship managers, and so, at every bank I'm at, and yeah, they'll literally do whatever. I've had my relationship managers come here in my office to go get things signed and, whatever. And
yeah, they're awesome.
Yeah.
When they're doing stuff like that. My relationship manager flew all the way from Kansas to Miami to come hang out with us on my yacht. We were doing a little guest speaker stuff. Like we were doing like a little mastermind for a couple of clients, team event. And so we had the relationship manager fly out because he helped us get over $70 million for our clients. So we were, celebrating. We did a little interview. It was a good time.
Got it. So you got relationship managers. That's one thing that people need to do. Not just, is there ever a time and place to just go on I don't even know what these websites are, but they show the top 10 cards. Would you recommend just applying for the top 10 or what?
That's such a good question.
Honestly, that's what I did.
It's true. I think that's a good, you can do that. There are those top 10 business credit cards, maybe on Nerd Wallet.
Yeah, that's what it is. Nerd Wallet.
And those are all good cards, right? They all have different cashback rewards. They have 0%. And I think the trick, however, is you're going to see the offer, but you want to make sure that you know the best strategy before applying. Because you don't want to shoot yourself in the foot and then go. We do this all the time with different banks. There's one bank in particular we'll apply online, but we have the underwriter flag the application, so they might get only approved for $3,000, but we throw it to the underwriter and we end up getting a $10,000 limit.
Got it.
And then another trick too is that sometimes people don't think they could apply with the same bank twice. So you may think that with this one bank, I got 20,000, that's it. Little do they know they can get another $20,000 card, but it's all just about knowing the strategies. Sometimes those kinds of strategies too. Sometimes the business relationship manager isn't forthcoming and telling you the full picture, you can do this, because sometimes they're unsure about it too.
Yeah.
Which is why, people come to work with me, because we know sometimes what the bankers don't know, which sounds kind of weird, but it's because we're applying and then we're almost teaching them something new about the process because, in the past, we've already been experimental with it. So we know, with some of these banks where I would ask the relationship manager, hey, can I get 2 cards? And they would say, I don't know. And then I would go ahead and try, and then I would learn.
They're 2 different cards or 2 of the same?
2 different. If you're going to do it within a small frame,
so you might
of time,
you might get an Amex Platinum and an Amex Gold or something.
Correct.
Got it.
Now maybe give it 90 days or so. You could do 2 Amex Golds, right?
Got it.
Or 2 Amex Blue Business Cash cards. That's one that not a lot of people know about. You get 2 of the same card, just not at the same time. You could do it in 2 different units of time. I get 2.
How often is all this changing? I feel like it's just constantly changing.
It does change. You do have to stay up to date with it. And we were actually doing some record keeping at my company the other week because just some things in the industry were changing. There was one bank in particularly, we probably got $20 million from them. And that's just my company. That doesn't account for all of these other credit stacking companies popping up, right? So there was this one bank we got a lot of money from, and they actually started tightening up. They started catching on to who's this Andrew Imbesi guy sending all these clients?
Yeah.
And this happened to be a smaller bank. They're not like a Chase or a Wells Fargo where they have endless amounts of money, but it's a smaller bank, and they started catching on. They were like, we can't be exposing this much credit. They closed my account. It was so funny.
Dang, that's crazy. What bank was it? Can you say?
I'll reveal. It was First Citizens Bank.
Okay, got it.
They're very strict now.
Wow.
They were approving everyone.
So you guys think you guys caused it?
We did. We totally did.
That's funny.
It's kind of interesting. Yeah, we've noticed that when you're running a company as big as ours, where we're helping 200 to 300 clients a month and helping them open up 5 million plus in credit every single month, probably close to 10 million in credit every single month. like you start being the disruptor for these banks and they start changing their policies. Same thing happened with our relationship manager at Chase, where we were sending him all this business and he opened up $70 million. Now, the thing about these relationship these are these relationship managers, they're only allowed to work inside their footprint.
Oh.
So this guy was really only allowed to accept clients inside of Kansas.
Right.
That's it. But he was doing it all over the country.
Mm.
So we were sending him people from Hawaii, Montana,
Right.
like Florida, New York.
Yeah, 'cause it's hard to find a relationship manager everywhere.
That's right. Yeah. Well,
for you guys.
You know, that's interesting to say. It's true. It's hard to find like really good relationship managers. It's not impossible, but like it's hard to find like those really cool guys, right?
Yeah.
Like that you're gonna go maybe like hang out with after work, right?
Yeah.
Like some of them are very like, you know, it's funny because after he gave us the bad news that like, hey, the bank told me that I have to stay inside my footprint. The free for all is over. I can't do it anymore. And I was like, all right, whatever. An hour later, we had 15 more lined up.
Yeah.
We had 15 more lined up like that because we've just been doing this so long. We know the questions to ask. We know how to get in touch with them very quickly.
Right.
And find like those people who will do exactly what we know we can do. Because sometimes when you call the banks, they don't know the process. Like you'll call the teller, and you'll be like, hey, I'm looking for someone who'd do this strategy. And the teller will be like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And I've done it now like hundreds of times. So
Yeah.
in my head, I'm like, I know what I'm talking about.
Well, you're like, I know you don't know, but it's a thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
That's interesting. It's kind of like when you're a real estate investor or wholesaler and you call the title companies and you're like, hey, do you guys do wholesaling and assignments? And they're like, huh? And you're like, yeah, you know, like assignments. And there's title companies that are like, no, we don't. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So it's literally the same thing. So, okay, what about just like credit then? Like what kind of credit do you need for all this stuff?
Good question. Really, you just need a 700 plus credit score. A lot of these business gurus online are going to tell you that you need net 30 cards, vendor cards, but they're full of crap. I think that
like a net 30 card, just so people understand,
Yeah.
like what does it mean?
it's really just like a vendor card. It's like like a net 30 account. Honestly, I can't even tell you much about it because like I don't really deal with that too much.
To me, a net 30 card is that you got to pay it back in full in 30 days. It's not even like, it's not a credit card. It's like you're getting 30 days of credit and you got to pay it back.
Yeah.
Versus you carrying a balance. Because I think like most Amexes are like net 30.
Yeah, there are a lot of charge cards with them. And actually to go off your net 30 point, another thing about that too is that they're looking at your Dun and Bradstreet number to actually give you that approval. So it's a lot less focused on your personal credit, which I think is where a lot of people get confused online, is that they think they need a business credit score, like a Dun and Bradstreet number to get approved for business credit, but you don't need a Dun and Bradstreet number. And I think a lot of these business credit gurus kind of like run these people in circles thinking that I need a Dun and Bradstreet number, but you only need a good credit score. You just need 700 plus. Like you could have 1 or 2 30-day late payments, not the end of the world.
Yeah.
You ideally don't want to apply with maxed out credit cards because you're giving the bank a reason to say no for your credit card.
Well, and your credit's probably not over 700 if that's the case.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, sometimes we run into it with people who have long credit age. They have maybe like 6 years of credit age on average. They have 10 credit cards and one of them is maxed out at $10,000. And they end up having like a 720, 730 score, which, could be good enough for a couple of banks, but sometimes they'll get denied because they have a maxed out card.
Right.
And they're giving the bank, like the bank is going to see that. They're going to say, oh, well, you have this one maxed out card. That concerns us because you're just allowing this balance to float.
Right.
Or are you going to be willing to pay it back?
Right.
They're willing to give you 0%. They know you're going to max it out. They know you're going to max it out, but there has to be like repayment. There has to be like, how is the bank going to get their money back?
Right. So with that, what do you do with the people who have bad credit?
Good question. With bad credit, there's just not much we can do for them. Like,
Do you send them to like one of those credit repair people or whatever?
Yeah, we'll just tell them like, we need you to do credit repair. Now, I haven't like dipped my toe too far into credit repair personally.
Yeah, I'm curious why you don't try to offer that like as a service. That's an
It's a
interesting
good question.
service.
It's just that this is definitely going to be a little controversial, but I just don't really want to, work with
Those kind of people. Yeah.
Not saying that all of them are bad, but it's just very risky business. I mean, look, I can't really guarantee that I'm going to get something off of someone's credit. I can't guarantee, like with sending dispute letters, it could be 6 months and someone's paying $100 a month and nothing happens.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, well, you never did anything for me, so I'm going to dispute all those charges.
Yeah.
And that's not good for your payment processor either.
Right.
So I think there's just there's not enough pros to the business.
It's a risky business as an owner.
Yeah, as an owner, it just doesn't really make a lot of sense to me.
Got it. Yeah, because I've seen a lot of people doing credit repair, and I've always wondered, like, I don't even know how they charge.
There's a lot of people that, do well with it, but, it's definitely it's definitely not highly regarded as an industry,
Yeah.
It's not a very sexy business to be in.
Yeah.
I think funding I feel really good about because I know when I get a credit profile in my hand, I know what I can do with it, and I feel confident I can get those results. But with credit repair, the results are really out of my hands.
And they take a long time.
They take a long time. Yeah. Some people it may take a month. Some people it may take 2 years.
Yeah, because most of this other stuff with getting funding when you're applying for credit cards is like pretty instant, right? Like,
yeah.
But does any of them take long?
If you're getting approved for a super high limit, yeah, it'll take a long time. I recently got approved for $150,000 on a single Chase card.
Okay.
So you could get obviously the Amex charge cards instantly and have spending power of like $250,000.
Yeah.
Right. If you're making a lot of money with your business. But for me, I got a credit limit of $150,000, which is almost unheard of. That's very hard to get $150,000 as a credit limit. Not as like spending power, but like, hey, this is your credit limit. And that took a while to get. And obviously I had to build my credit over time. I had to demonstrate I had other comparable credit limits. I still didn't have to show proof of income. I just had to show comparable credit limits and credit card statements, but that wasn't proof of income. And that result, though, from the moment I applied to the moment I got approved, that took 5 weeks.
Got it. So that was the longest.
That was the longest I've ever seen for a credit card.
The rest are all like instant or like a couple of days to review a decision.
Yeah, exactly.
I've seen this on Instagram and TikTok, but people talking about like Navy Federal. Like what are they doing that everybody keeps talking about?
Yeah. It's a good place. It's a really cool membership. I have a Navy Fed membership. I found a way to qualify for one. I have when I started with them, I had a $3,500 card. I've gotten that up to $10,500. It's a personal card. They don't have any 0% business cards. I think there's a lot of craze around Navy Fed because it's a really good intro in terms of a personal card or a personal membership.
Got it.
Right? Like it's similar to getting a Discover card or like a Capital One card or an Amex card or an Apple card. These are all like very simple intro cards that you can get. And Navy Fed's like one of those good banks that will give you a high limit while you're working with them. And they have, cool stuff, right? Like they have a lot of products. They're a credit union, so they could be a little bit more interesting than some other places.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because I've seen people talk about them, and I'm like, what do they do that's any different than anyone else? Like, I don't understand.
Yeah. I think they're a good option, though. I think they're a really good place. Like, if someone wants to go get a high credit limit, Navy Federal would be a good place for them.
Okay, so they would do something higher.
Yeah.
So tell me about Amex then, because Amex has so many different cards. You got the business charge cards, and then I've had an Amex Blue Cash for over a decade. And so I know that I think the Blue Cash is like a true credit card.
That's right.
Okay. And then like my Amex Platinum is like a business charge card, I think. I don't even know.
That's right.
So, like, what's the deal with Amex? What do you think of them?
I think American Express is awesome. I love them for so many ways. They paid for my trip here to Vegas.
With
So,
just the points and stuff?
yep, all the points. So, I think they have some really good card offers, right? They're really solid for 0% on personal cards and the Blue Business Cash and Blue Business Plus. Um, the most important thing with American Express is starting the relationship, because there's a lot of times with my own clients where they'll get 2,000 on a Blue Business Cash card, and it's because they don't have a relationship with American Express. But if you start growing that relationship, you start getting the higher credit limits, you start getting all these benefits. They have a lot of great benefits on their cards. They have 2% cash back on their Blue Business Cash. They have the Blue Cash every day, which you get 3% cash back on online purchases. So if you're using, that's like the best card to use for Amazon, other than like Amazon Prime credit card with either Chase or American Express.
Mm-hmm.
I use my gold card on advertising spend because you get 4 times points. The platinum card is
I think we need to
neat.
start using, I don't even know what we do, but we should, I'm going to make a note to use gold on all our Facebook ads and stuff.
Yeah. Don't stop. Yeah. For anyone watching, right? It's like, stop using your platinum card for all your purchases and start focusing on credit cards that reward you for the money that you spend, such as the American Express Gold Card. You get 4 times points at restaurants, advertising spend,
So Facebook would be 4 times points.
4 times points. Yep.
What's the benefit of the platinum then? Why is the platinum and the gold's better?
I think the only benefits I see with the platinum are using the platinum for, you could get Indeed credit, you could get Dell credit, you could get Adobe credit. There's
What do you mean? Like points towards their stores?
Yep. Yeah. So you
Okay.
pay this annual fee, right?
Okay.
Which kind of sucks. The annual fee is ridiculous, like $700.
Okay.
Now, how are you going to make that $700 back? Well, you could spend that money on typical business expenses you would already spend that money on, right? So every year I'll use that platinum card to go buy ink for my printer. So
Really?
so
Okay.
yeah, but like I'm going to have to buy ink. So I basically get the ink included in my annual fee. But once you start evening out everything with that platinum card, you have like the clear credit, you have like I think it's like with TSA.
Clear's free?
Yeah, something like that. I think clear is free at the airports.
I think I'm still paying for Clear. I think I just got renewed.
Yeah, there's something about it where you could. They have a lot of.
I'm just writing these
benefits.
down.
Yeah, if
Clear,
you go
platinum.
on their website, they have a lot of different like benefits to their platinum card. There's a lot of different stuff, but I think one of my favorite things is going to the Centurion Lounge while I'm at the airport, because I have a place to go hang out, like, you know, and I have a place to go eat. The food's not bad. Go get a drink or two. Go get coffee. All of it's all inclusive, by the way, when you go to the airport. So probably on my way back to Miami, I'll stop at the Centurion Lounge and just go hang out, because I'll get free food, all this cool stuff. So it is a nice benefit to have that. But in terms of like spending, I don't see there being any use to using that platinum card.
Yeah.
There's like no good category that I would spend on, unless you travel all the time. But like, it just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah. Interesting. So, okay, Amex is that way. One thing you keep talking about is like the business credit cards.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why not just get personals?
Yeah, I think the cool thing about business credit cards is that you could open up $250,000 of debt without affecting your personal credit.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people don't know that they can do this because they don't understand how a business credit card works, that you use your personal credit to get the business credit card, but when you open the account, it doesn't show up on your personal credit report. You also get way higher credit limits. So there's a lot of benefits to getting the business credit cards that, like, I talk a lot about the business credit cards because I talk a lot about helping people start a business, start an investment, and it's just the fastest and easiest way to get $50,000 to $250,000 of
Who's
money.
qualifying though for $250K? Like, what do you got to be doing?
That's a great question. You got to have high income, so like six-figure income. It could be low six-figure income, and you have 800 credit score, and you also live in a lender-friendly state like Florida or Texas or Maryland is a good
Really?
place.
I didn't even think about where you
Yeah.
live. So where you live affects you.
That's right, because you have more. Where you live totally affects how much funding you get because you have different lenders available in your state than in other states. So I had a client that lived in North Carolina, and he just started his business. And within 20 days of getting his EIN, he got $228,000.
How?
Brand new business.
Because he himself, his personal income was already so high.
Yeah, his personal income was. I've done this with people with less personal income too, but his personal income was pretty high. It was like $500,000 a year.
Got it.
But I've done it with people who've had $200,000 a year income.
Got it.
Or 150 as well.
Yeah.
But with this in North Carolina, he had a lot of options, and he didn't even, what I found very surprising was he didn't even have like crazy personal credit limits either. Usually you have to have higher personal credit limits.
Yeah.
So they can see comparable trade lines. But he ended up getting, every bank he went to, he was getting like 25 grand, 50 grand, 25 grand, 10 grand. He was just bringing in so much like approvals. It was insane.
Yeah.
And he did it really fast. He followed the instructions, right? Because I couldn't do all of them for him. The way that we got 228,000 was because he actually participated and followed my instructions. Because a lot of these people think that they could just hand over their social security number and magically get 200 grand, but that's not how it works, right? Because earlier...
Yeah, how does it work then? Because like, if they wanted to work with you, are you just teaching them how to do it, or are you guys doing it for them? Like, how does that work?
It's like a combination of both. We're doing it with them. So it's very much a done with you service where there's 3 ways of applying for business credit, right? You could apply online, just regularly through the algorithm. You could apply with a relationship manager or remote through email with a relationship manager. Or 3, you could go into the branch.
Right.
And so every bank has a different strategy that works. So some banks you have to walk in. They don't offer their business credit cards online.
What's an example of this? A bank that you got to walk in?
First Citizens.
Okay, got it.
So with First Citizens, you have to walk in. You can't do the application online. They force you to make a checking account. The business banker there is definitely more a gatekeeper.
Got it.
Like they're not as friendly as some other bank that you could work with.
Your boy in Chase.
Yeah, like Gabe. Like Gabe at Chase. Gabe was the man.
Yeah.
Gabe is by far my favorite relationship manager I've ever worked with.
Yeah. But Gabe got smoked.
He got smoked. He was submitting like 10 business credit card applications a day. Like just every single day.
Does Gabe get paid on that?
He does. A lot of people.
No wonder Gabe was loving it.
A lot of people don't know this, but relationship managers get incentivized on the amount of business that they're doing with their customers. So Gabe, because of the volume that he was bringing in for Chase, he was the #1 business credit card rep for Chase.
I was gonna say he had to be like pretty close to 1.
Yeah, and he was making an extra $80,000 a year.
Got it.
An extra 40 grand per like half of the year.
Yeah.
So
he was just getting bonuses.
Yeah, he was just getting bonuses for all the business that we were sending him.
Good for Gabe.
Yeah, good for Gabe.
That's cool. So, okay. But personally, right? Is it easier to get a personal credit card or a business card? Like,
first, you got to get that personal credit card, right?
So if somebody comes to you and they don't have like really much personal, you're probably going to get them started personally.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's that's the main thing that these banks look at. I would say, my own personal opinion, I think 70 to 80%, potentially even 85% of the decision comes down to your personal credit. Like that's the #1 thing that has to be there. If it's not there, they're not going to give you what you want unless it's a secured credit card.
Right.
But you need to have a good personal credit score in order to actually get the business credit lines that you want.
Okay. So with personal credit, in business credit. You're saying that real estate investors, are you tired of getting low quality leads and talking with sellers who've been hit up by everyone else? Well, what if you could get inbound leads of motivated sellers on autopilot without any effort? Well, that's exactly what we do at Lead Kitchen. Over the years, I've spent millions of dollars on direct to seller marketing. I've done PPC, I've done TV commercials, I've done cold calling, text messaging, direct mail. I've done the pay per lead services. And look, all of them can work. A lot of them don't. At the end of the day, I have found a new method that is getting me better results than I've ever seen in my career. I'm getting lower cost per leads than ever before, and it's not just in Las Vegas, it's across the country. And so if you want to take advantage of this new innovative marketing strategy that takes no effort on your end, I want you to go to leadkitchen.com and book a call with my team today. Imagine having my team running your marketing with the same leads that I'm getting in my business. That's what you can have. So just go to leadkitchen.com today and book a call. Either way, they're going to have to look at your personal credit. It doesn't matter, right? It just, when you finally get a card and when you start using it, personal one will show on your credit card how it's being utilized, but a business card will not show on your report.
That's right. Yeah, I think that's the coolest thing about these business credit cards is that you could open up all this debt without it showing on your personal credit report. And it's really easy for anyone to do. Like all you need is a 700 plus credit score to qualify for this business credit card and understand what the strategy is for each bank. Make sure you have a corporation, LLC, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Right. Like you know what you want to go and do with your business or your investment.
Yeah.
And, you know, as long as you're not going to Discover, TD Bank, Capital One, those cards report to their personal credit, actually.
Oh.
Kind of interesting. Only those three banks, TD Bank, Capital One, and Discover. If you get a business credit card with them, it does show up on your personal credit.
So there's no difference then, really?
For those three. But like the other banks, like First Citizens, Chase, you know, like Bank of Nevada or whatever, right? Like all these places, they don't report your business credit card account to your personal credit.
Does Amex?
No.
Got it.
Yeah, you could open up, you know, you could max out a Amex Gold card, $100,000, and let the due date come around, and it won't report the balance that you have to owe in 25, 30 days. It won't show that balance.
So even if you were to like miss
utilization.
a payment, it's not going to affect your credit? How does that work?
Now, if you do miss a payment, then yes, it's going to show something there. I've personally never seen it because I've never been late on a business credit card payment, but yes, at that point, like it would likely show a late payment on your credit.
Like, and this was kind of like what I was thinking was that. So is there any business credit that is truly just tied to the business?
There is.
Okay.
This is when you start going for this is going to be for some viewers they're going to be like, what do you mean by this? So this is where you start getting into personal guarantees versus no personal guarantees.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like personally guaranteeing to pay back the debt. So when you start getting into no personal guarantee, you start moving away from anything affecting your credit score. But the thing now that you have on the hook is more so going to be your business. And the problem with this is that so many people want no personal guarantee credit because they don't want to be responsible to pay back the debt in case something goes wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But it's almost very hard to get for most people because you need to have a business that's producing a lot of revenue, that's showing a lot of consistency. And if it's not showing that consistency, it's going to be very hard to get.
Right.
It's like, why should the bank, like, I like to think about lending decisions in just common sense terms. Why would the bank lend you money if you're not qualified? Right? It's like you want no personal guarantee, but tell me about your business. Like, can you show me that you're consistently making money every month? Can you show me that you have equipment? Can you show me that you have something that I could take if you fail to pay this back?
Right.
And so that's where, like, when you start getting into business credit or corporate credit, right? Because Jeff Bezos has to have some kind of Amazon corporate card, right? So there, right? Like if Amazon or whatever, they have corporate credit cards, right? So if Amazon were like late on a payment or something like that, right? It's probably not going to ding Jeff Bezos' credit, right?
Right.
So, it's when you start building a business, doesn't have to be that big, but it has to basically like have value where it's going to stand up no matter whether you're present or not.
Right. It's a true, valuable
True
business.
true valuable businesses.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that will qualify for no personal guarantee.
That makes sense.
For like quality, no personal guarantee stuff.
Right. Yeah. I always tell people too, at the end of the day, especially like from the terms of real estate, right? We teach using other people's money. And for me, when I first got started, it was using credit cards. And so I maxed out. My process was there was credit stacking wasn't a thing 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So like I just went online to NerdWallet and I was like, oh, those look interesting. And I just applied for every single one.
What gave you the idea? Just actually my own question for you. What gave you the idea to use credit cards?
It was the only way I knew to get money. Like I didn't know about I didn't know of like raising money from other people. And I didn't even know any like people who had money.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, the only way I can get cash right now is through credit. And so I'm going to just apply because I had applied for my own credit cards before. Like I started building my credit when I was like 21.
Yeah.
So, I applied for cards. I got some. I was like, oh, that's cool. And actually, now that I think about it, it was my cousin because he was all into like points and all these weird things. And so he was like building up his credit and his limits. And I'm like, what do you even need these limits for? And he's like, dude, I need them like for whatever. And I was like, okay. And what's funny is he ended up using them the wrong way because he ended up just living off of his credit. And then he ended up just going BK.
No.
But like, even for him, and I'm not saying this is right, but he did it at a young age. And then he just was whatever. It didn't affect him 2 years later.
Yeah.
So now that I'm like recollecting this, I remember how I got started. So he introduced me to it, and then I didn't need it. Like I just did it when I was like 21, 22. He's like, you got to get an Amex, you got to get a Fidelity. And like back then, the Fidelity, which I still have to this day, had 2% cash back.
Yup.
And that was a huge deal.
A lot of people don't know about that card.
Yeah, I still have that card. And that card's run millions throughout the years. So anyways, I got a Fidelity. I had an Amex. And by the way, that Fidelity used to be an American Express before it switched to a Visa. And so I started building my credit that way. And then a few years later, when I decided I wanted to flip houses, I was like, well, I need more credit. I only have like, I don't even know, maybe there was like 15, 20 grand between what I had. I was like, all right, I'm going to apply for every card I can. So I applied in my wife's name and my name. And then I got like an extra 30K. And I was like, all right, sweet, let's run it. And then I learned about also too balance transfers because I didn't even know about them. And I didn't realize, because when I heard the word balance transfer, I thought it meant you could just transfer balances between cards. And I'm like, that doesn't do me any good. Like people just trying to like pay less interest or transfer a high interest to a 0%. I was like, I need the cash. And so I ended up finding out that like, oh no, they'll actually balance transfer cash to me in my bank. That's crazy. And so that's how I did it.
Yeah. That's sweet.
Yeah. Long, kind of crazy. How much credit do you have now, would you say?
I definitely have over $1 million of credit.
Yeah.
So I've been able to get that though, starting from just one $1,700 card. And so it just was like continuously applying over and over, right? So similar to you, right? Like the first time I did it, I got around 30,000.
Yeah.
I used that personally for mentorships, right? I didn't use it on a flip. I used it on some mentorships.
Yeah.
Then those worked out. I paid down the cards, and then I saw another mentorship I wanted, so I did it again. I got another $50,000. And now I'm starting to get some charge cards too.
Yeah.
And I'm not really using them a lot yet, but I'm starting to just dip my toe in them.
Yeah.
I'd say a year after that, right? Just to even give the time frames, right? This was, I've had one personal credit card for a very long time, like from when I was 18.
How old are you
now? 26.
Okay. So 8 years
of
credit history.
Yep. So But then I started the credit stacking stuff in December 2020. That's when I got 30,000. A year later, I got like another 50,000 or so. And that was in like December 2021. And then in November of 2022, I got like another 115,000, right? So I'm starting to, at this point, I had $100,000 of personal credit and around $115,000 or so of business credit. And I had an Amex Gold card, which at the time I had a spending power of, I think, around 250,000. And this is just growing over time. I think a lot of my own clients too, they want that. I want that $200,000 today.
Yeah.
They want that instant gratification now. And then they see me getting approved for all these credit limits, but they don't see the work that's gone into getting that stuff. Because then November 2022, I had all that credit. Fast forward to around like May of 2023, that's when I got the Chase card for $150,000.
Got it.
And then, yeah.
Got it. So, okay, first off, if somebody wants to work with you guys, where do they go?
They could just go message. There's a couple of ways. I think actually a good way would be just to text me at 732-936-7993.
Okay.
Which we're always texting from that number.
Okay.
They could follow me on Instagram at Andrew Imbesi.
Okay.
And they could send me a message.
Okay. The reason I asked that is because, like, you just said it takes years to do this. So, like, when somebody works with you, obviously you'll help them if they're able to be, if they have enough credit score initially. But, like, what about, like you said, a year later, 2 years later, 3 years later, when you're ready to get the next stage, I should say.
Yeah. I mean, I think the really awesome thing about what we do is like, it's done with you. So our clients are part of the process with us. So they're getting a good understanding of how it works for themselves.
Yeah.
And it's really not terribly difficult to fill out applications. Like once you understand the best strategy, once you understand your business, once you understand how to do things.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say that's a huge benefit of working with us, because what allows our clients to get really good results in the beginning too is that they'll come to us with an already pretty solid credit profile. They'll already have maybe like a 750 credit score or 780. And I think also my knowledge compared to when I started is completely different, because if I had the knowledge I have today and used it 4 years ago, probably would have gotten a lot more than 30,000. I probably would have gotten maybe between 50 and 100.
Yeah.
So my knowledge has, progressed a long way since then as well. So
what made you even want to get into this business?
That's a good question. I got into this business without, like, I didn't even think I would ever start this kind of business, because when I started doing all this entrepreneurship stuff, I was doing like e-commerce, marketing agency, sales. And there just so happened to be a mentorship I wanted to get into, to work with my friend Dylan Cadulo one-on-one to learn sales from this guy.
Okay.
And I had the opportunity to fly to San Diego and meet him in person and work one-on-one with him. And I had $500 in my bank account.
Mm-hmm.
So I was part of this program, and kind of the deal was like, hey, like, we're going to get you some credit for ad spend. I was like, okay. So I started getting all this credit. Someone started doing credit stacking with me, right? This guy named Manal.
Yeah.
And he was the one who taught me the basic strategy of personal
You used
credits.
it for yourself to go pay for this mentorship.
Exactly. So yeah, I used to go pay for the mentorship, and then I started doing sales. And when I was doing sales for this coaching company, a lot of people—
You were a sales rep.
I was a sales rep.
Got it. Okay.
Yep. So I was a sales rep because I was obviously investing to learn how to do sales, right?
Yeah.
I was investing in coaching to improve my sales skills so I could be a better sales closer. Still wanted to run my own business, but I didn't know what I wanted to run. At the time, I sidelined my own business because I realized that sales was such a valuable tool that I wanted to just focus on being a great closer first, and then later on, I'll start a business.
Yeah.
So while I was a sales rep, I was learning. I had done credit stacking at this point, and when I was enrolling clients into this coaching program, I realized everyone had the same problem that I had, that they needed access to funding to invest in this, mentorship.
Yeah.
So I started showing people the tricks that Manal showed me. So Manal, this guy who taught me credit stacking,
You used it as your sales rep because it helped you get more closes.
helped me get more closes, helped me get more commission. And I felt good about it because I felt like I was helping people get into a program I knew was working, because it sounds kind of funny, but I was selling sales training.
Yeah.
So like,
well, trust me, I've had every sales trainer on this show, and I think about it, funnily too, because I've had Cardone and Jeremy Minor and Andy Elliott and, Daniel G.
Yep.
I forget, but there's a bunch, right? And I always think about that because I'm like, yeah, they're selling sales training. And I was like, it's just funny.
Yeah.
It's like the coach who teaches you how to coach.
Yeah, coaches coaching coaches on how to coach coaches to coach coaches.
But they're needed, like sales training is needed and everything. So it's just funny though.
Yeah.
But yeah, go on.
Yeah. It is funny. So but the way it happened was kind of funny, right? Because when I invested to go work with Dylan, he was working for someone else at the time. And then 2 months after I went to go meet him, and this was like a window of opportunity. I took advantage of this at the perfect place at the perfect time. And so I invested into that. And 2 months later, he went to go start his own sales training business. And he said, Andrew, would you want to come work for my sales training business? I said, sure, I'll come do it. I want to learn the skill. I want to get better at it. So when I was working for him, I actually watched, literally 2 days ago, I watched a video of me learning sales. When I was coaching with, I was terribly bad. It was so bad. I would not get hired in my own company.
Yeah.
No one would want me. And I can't believe Dylan wanted me. I'm so fortunate for that, because, I think he saw that, I flew out there, I invested 0% credit in myself. I flew out there.
Yeah, you were committed. He knew that you would grind. And I've hired sales guys like that too, where I'm like, yeah, you're not very good right now, but dude, I can tell you're a dog. You're going to get better.
I was one of those guys. Yeah. So when I was working for him, that's when I was showing people how to get credit to buy his program.
Yeah.
And I felt so confident about it, right? Because I knew that it worked, because it worked for me. It wasn't just because I was selling his product, but because my communication with my family got better, communication with my friends got better. I used to be very shy, not confident, and now I can communicate, confront, and handle anything based on what he taught me. And so I started getting people funding. I started seeing all the credit stacking ads, and I realized I was doing it for other people already. I was getting a little tired of selling sales training. I saw that there was this opportunity to start a credit stacking business. I was like, I want to do that. I already have so much fun getting credit for people. It worked for me. I see I'm helping a lot of people with it. I think this would be so fun to do just full time.
Yeah.
So eventually I got tired of sales training, and I was like, I want to go start this credit stacking business. And then, I started running YouTube ads, and now here we are.
Yeah. How long ago was that?
Only 2.5 years ago.
Yeah.
2.5 years ago, I started this business. My first full month of operation was in March of 2022.
Yeah.
And I did 70,000 that month through YouTube ads. But a lot of people don't see it's building the skills, learning how to sell, learning how to market, learning how an org board works.
Yeah.
All this really important business stuff took place between August 2020 to March 2022.
Yeah.
And so that's where I was learning. Like I said, I sidelined the business for I guess technically 1.5, 2 years to really learn skills that were extremely valuable, use 0% interest credit to invest into mentorships. And the thing I think that most people don't understand is that a lot of these opportunities don't last forever. The person I learned sales from does not sell sales training anymore. The person I learned YouTube ads from, that was a once in a lifetime opportunity too. And I've learned these skills, and I've had these mentors during these small periods of time that I was willing to commit right in that moment. And I was able to take advantage of those things because now I have, my own Andrewisms or Andrew knowledge.
Yeah. Well, I was
Right?
going to ask you because like you learned sales from the guy working for him as a sales guy. I was going to ask, where did you learn marketing and YouTube ads?
Yeah, so I learned it from I don't want to get super deep into detail on who, just
Yeah.
because like what I noticed with this person is that he really grew his program, but his delivery really suffered
Yeah.
because like they just
Yeah.
yeah. So what happened there was
Well, I guess like what made you realize like, oh, dude, like I understand credit stacking. I've been doing this. I understand
Yeah.
sales now. I've been doing this, but you
Yeah.
never had done marketing.
Correct. Well, I'll be honest. I saw like and this is not who I learned YouTube ads from, but I saw like Alaric's ads, like Alaric Heck,
Yeah.
and I thought they were just really like I thought they were entertaining.
Yeah.
Like I would always mimic them. I'd be like, I want to be doing these YouTube ads, and I think what made me decide YouTube ads was that I was buying things myself from YouTube ads.
Got it.
So I was closed on it because I knew that it worked.
Yeah.
And I also thought it was attractive that I could set up an ad and I don't really have to touch it all too much for a while, because that's kind of how these YouTube ads work. They're not like Facebook and Instagram ads where I see people just constantly changing their ad. Not that that's a bad thing, but I wanted to be able to set something up and not be able to touch it and still have control over it, but not where it's like a task that's taking up a lot of my time. I knew it was a process that worked. So the most important thing about the YouTube ad is like the creative itself, obviously. Like the content is the most important. It's not like some sexy targeting stuff. I think you had Dan Henry on here.
Yeah.
He was saying the same thing. Like for me too, no targeting has actually been some of the best like performing stuff for me.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting because like my ad, my copy, it calls out to the person, and that's what people are listening and watching anyway.
Yeah.
It's not like some crazy targeting is going to save you customers. Like you need to have a good message. You need to clearly communicate what it is that you're offering. So that way
Sales.
yeah, exactly. You need to, yeah, exactly. So, yeah. So when I was learning the YouTube ads like that, those are all the reasons why I decided to do it.
And you ran your own ads.
I still to this day run all my own ads.
Mm.
I script all of it myself. I run all of it myself. I've had over 40 million views on YouTube ads, spent over $5 million on YouTube ads, and all me.
Yeah. You script them yourself, you run them, you media buy, you do it all.
I do all of it.
You're a one-man marketing team.
I really am. I have I have an assistant now who helps me out, but I'm still teaching her, what I've learned.
Yeah.
But when I learned YouTube ads, like back to the whole right place, right time, it's so important that people take advantage of opportunities when they're available, because they might not be available forever. When I learned YouTube ads, it was during a span of like 2-3 months where this person who is really amazing at running YouTube ads, right? Like this person is really good, but he wasn't offering one-on-one coaching forever.
Yeah.
So I was like one of the early birds to take advantage of that one-on-one coaching before it blew up into this huge, like, corporate style thing.
Got it. That's cool. So, I mean, what's the future hold for you? I mean, obviously you got this company that's growing, you're running ads, you're helping a lot of people. What's the plan?
I really want to grow into more services, more investments. I want to be able to offer, a fund in the future. I really want to just create an ecosystem around funding, and whether it be more funding services, I do like coaching programs. I know that you're not huge on the coaching space right this second.
Oh, I mean,
you love it. You love it.
To be fair, I love coaching
Yeah.
people. What we were talking about offline was that I know that the coaching space is way more difficult these days.
Yeah, exactly. I know it's a little difficult right now. That's what I meant to say. So, yeah, it's a little difficult.
Yeah.
Right. But I definitely still see that there's an opportunity there if it's done right.
Yeah.
I see that there's a lot of people offering like inner circle stuff too, which I would like to offer as well. Yeah, I'm working on getting an office right now, 25,000 square feet here in Miami, Florida.
Dang,
So
dude. Just freaking.
it's in a beautiful spot too. It's at this place called River Landing.
Uh-huh.
They have I don't know if you know what Publix is.
Yeah.
Yep. They have a Publix, which is a food store.
Yep.
They
It's a
have,
grocery store.
yep. They have Chase there. So hopefully
You can go just walk in.
get a new relationship
people
manager.
applied.
Yep. They got everything there, man. They got like clothing stores, this, that. They have residences. It's like the perfect spot where you
Yeah.
would never have to leave. It'd be perfect for my entire team. So working on getting an office there.
Would you live there too?
I would live there.
Yeah.
I see myself living in those apartments. It's right on the river. I could park my boat there.
Yeah.
They have a marina.
Yeah.
So well, because I have a 72-foot azimuth.
Uh-huh. I don't know anything about boats and yachts.
It's a nice yacht.
How much did it cost?
$3 million.
Dang, dude.
Yeah.
How often do you drive it? Or do you
like
call
every
it drive
weekend,
it?
every other weekend. I do drive it.
You call it driving it? Is that what they call boats? Like, what do you...
Yeah, drive the boat, cast away.
Okay.
Like, simple stuff like that. I have a captain. I
Okay.
can't just go drive it by myself. But
Okay.
yeah, you do need a license to drive boats that big. But I have other boats too.
Dang, dude.
I have like these small, like little. I have like a fishing boat, like a little cobia.
Okay.
I took it to the Exumas.
So you can take that one out.
Yeah, I'll take that out. Go fishing on it.
Mm.
So yeah.
What made you want to buy a yacht?
I want to do more events on it. I want to do more business style events. You know, there's tax benefits to buying a yacht.
So you depreciated it.
You could, depreciate the yacht. I want to do business events on there.
So you're trying to make it like make money somehow.
Yeah, make money. And also that was like the original intention was to do more charters, but I don't really want to do charters right now in Miami.
Okay.
Crazy business. I don't want them to
They're going to destroy it.
destroy
party
the
it.
boat. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but now I'll do like I've done like masterminds on there.
Yeah.
You know, I've done some company events on there. There's still more things I want to expand on with the boat, but it's also like, you know, something fun for me too. You know, like it's something pretty pleasurable for me. So I think it has like a lot of mixed uses. I think it's really cool to own. It definitely is a cool like conversation piece.
Did
like,
you credit stack the boat or what? How do you?
wish I would have loved to do that. No, but I did do a loan on it. Yeah.
How much do they make you put down on a yacht?
1.4.
So half?
Basically. Yeah.
Dang, dude.
Well, I mean, like, it was like 35%, but then there's all these closing costs.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like,
And I'm assuming they depreciate, like
Yep.
they go down.
Yep. I mean, it doesn't appreciate in value, unfortunately, but it's awesome, man. I love owning a yacht. It's so cool.
How long have you owned it for?
Since December.
Okay, so you've had it like 7 months.
Yeah.
Yo,
Yeah.
so you bought it right at the end of the year for a tax write-off.
Yep. Yeah. It's awesome. Like, you know, I could have bought a property, but I'm also 26. I'm, you know, living in Miami. I want to enjoy, you know, what I have right now.
Yeah.
I think also what really got me to do it was my grandpa. When I started getting really like when I started making money online, he was like, "Oh, Andrew, just, you know, let me know when you buy the yacht." And I was like, "Okay." I didn't really think I was gonna do it, and then all of a sudden I started making money. I'm like, "Oh my god, I could buy a yacht." And so I was like, you know what? It was also like a goal for me that because he's pretty old too. I was like,
Yeah.
I need to buy this yacht. He needs to see that I bought a yacht. Right. So it was also like a goal for me. I think there's just a lot of reasons to do it for me. You know, a lot of fun reasons to do it. There's some business stuff that I can do with it too.
Yeah.
I could host events on there.
Right.
You know, there's a lot of different things I could do with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love owning boats.
That's dope, dude. Well, bro, it's always good having you on. Learned a lot. I think people got a lot of value out of it. Guys, go. What was the number again?
You can do 732-936-7993 or just follow me at Andrew Imbesi on Instagram.
Cool. So go check them out, help you out, get funding, and make sure you subscribe. We'll catch you on the next one. Peace.